What's up, Welcome Back Nostalgia? Dave here on their podcast, What's Going on in Pop Culture right now. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. On the awards show front, we have both the reaction to the 2025 Oscar nominations and our 2025 Grammy predictions. A lot to get into with that, of course. And then on the movie front, we have Steven Soderbergh's Presence, the new Star Trek film, Section 31, and then two new albums, and high-profile ones at that, the debut album from Central Cee and the latest album from FKA Twigs. So make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/nostalgiapod, linktree.com/nostalgiapod, see links below. The best of 2025 Spotify playlist linked below, and let's get into it. What's up, Welcome Back Nostalgia? Dave here with my 2025 Oscar nominations reaction. I'm going to go through all the Oscar nominees, talk about the surprises, the snubs, the shocks, what we think is the new prevailing narrative as we move forward before the Oscars take place on March 2nd. Of course, make sure you come back a week before the show where I'll do my actual predictions of who I think will win. For now, we're just going to focus on who got nominated and what the takeaways are here. Now, of course, I did my nominations predictions last week, looking at all the Guild nominations, trying to read the tea leaves as best we could. And of course, there's always surprises, always shocks. It's never an exact science. And look no further than Best Picture for that, where most of Best Picture is what we expected. Nominated are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, The Substance, and Wicked. And then the last two movies are where the surprises come in. Nickel Boys does get nominated for Best Picture. I had talked about that as possible, but I did not predict it. I didn't think the case seemed as strong as it was. That's a great nomination. That movie made my top 10. I love that. So that's awesome. And then the 10th spot, and maybe not actually 10, it might be further up the standings, so to speak, but the 10th spot is I'm Still Here, the Brazilian film that is also nominated Best International Feature Film, which was expected, but I'm Still Here showing a lot of strength, also getting Best Picture nominated. That is not what people expected. What this means, of course, is that other movies that people were thinking about to get into the back half of Best Picture, Sing Sing, A Real Pain, September 5, none of them get nominated. And yeah, I think that's a genuine surprise. I don't think anyone really thought this would happen. And that speaks to the international voting body with the Academy. We had been hearing for a while that the Brazilian campaign for I'm Still Here was very passionate, very strong. It seemed to have worked. Now, following Best Picture, I think it's important to talk about what films were nominated the most. Conclave and A Complete Unknown, 8 nominations. Wicked and The Brutalist, 10 nominations. But leading the pack is Amelia Perez with 13 nominations. That also, in turn, sets the record for the most nominations for a non-English language film. The previous record was 10 for Roma and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is big news. The strength of Amelia Perez, the fears about said strength have been realized. Amelia Perez is probably the favorite to win Best Picture, and that is not a good thing. To me, I haven't seen I'm Still Here yet. I'm seeing that next week. That hasn't really released in the U.S. just yet. But of the 9 movies I have seen in Best Picture, Amelia Perez is my least favorite of those 9. This is going to go down as one of the most polarizing Best Picture wins if it does happen. We're in the Green Book category. We're in the Crash over Brokeback Mountain category. This is not a good development. And I can't be too picky because the last few years, Best Picture went to my number 1 movie of the year with Oppenheimer, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Parasite in 2019, right? Like it's been pretty good for the most part, but this is a tough beat. And we'll see what happens. I think The Brutalist still has a chance to win. And again, I'll make my official predictions, come the week before the Oscars, and then we'll have seen all the Guild wins and have a better sense of where things are trending. As a result, of course, Netflix is the most nominated studio with 16, followed by A24 with 14, Universal with 13, Focus Features with 12, and Searchlight with 10. Honestly, great show for Focus. I love to see that there. Netflix leading the pack with 16, Amelia Perez leading the pack with 13. It's not dissimilar from a lot of the things that have happened with Netflix, contenders or would-be contenders in the past. And now the question, of course, is will Netflix finally get its first Best Picture win with this movie? We'll find out. Moving through the rest of the categories, Best Director, some surprise once again. Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Sean Baker for Anora, Jack Odiard for Amelia Perez. All that was expected. Corley Fargett for The Substance, which I think a lot of people were pegging. I feel like it was going that way, seemingly for the fifth spot. But no. In fact, the other selection went to James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, meaning Edward Berger for Conclave was not nominated for Best Director, which is certainly a surprise. On the other hand, Mangold did have a DGA nomination. There was more strength there. I think Complete Unknown in general, with its 8 noms, more strength. So that's pretty cool. As a result, no Denis Villeneuve in Best Director, no Ramel Ross of Nickel Boys, no John Chu, no Pio Kapadia. I didn't feel like Denny was going to happen. I think more so the surprise here is that Berger ended up being the one to drop out, considering he is an international director. He is German. You thought that would have helped him, but no, Fargett and Mangold in, and Berger out. Best Actor, not too much of a surprise. We have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and the fifth spot went to Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, meaning Daniel Craig does not get in for Queer. Hugh Grant for Heretic doesn't happen either. I kind of felt like this was going to happen. It felt like there was less momentum behind Craig and more momentum behind Stan. I like it. Also means no Jesse Eisenberg nominated. Best Actress, also not too surprising here. Demi Moore for The Substance, Mikey Madison for Nora, Carl Sofia Gascon for Amelia Paris, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, and then the last spot went to Fernando Torres for I'm Still Here. That was something that I was really expecting to happen. I believe that's what I predicted last week. I just wasn't expecting I'm Still Here to also make Best Picture, but the Fernando Torres momentum seemed pretty strong. That did in fact happen. What that means, Marion John Baptiste does not get nominated for Hard Truths. The Pamela Anderson Last Showgirl story doesn't happen. Obviously no Zendaya for Challengers, no Kidman for Baby Girl. Nothing too surprising there. Similarly, Best Supporting Actor, also kind of in line with expectations. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, Yura Borisov for Nora, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice, meaning no Stanley Tucci, no Denzel, no Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing. Nothing too surprising with that. Best Supporting Actress, though, this was the one that was the most up in the air, the hardest to predict. Only 2 people felt safe. Zoe Saldana for Amelia Paris, Ariana Grande for Wicked. They both, of course, were nominated. Filling that out would be Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, and Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. Meaning no Daniel Deadweiler, no Selena Gomez, no Margaret Qualley. That means Jamie Lee Curtis was not nominated for The Last Showgirl, which seemed like it could really happen because there's a lot of late momentum for that with the SAG and BAFTA nominations for JLC, but no. Barbaro getting in, awesome. I love that. Again, Complete Unknown having a lot of strength, Super Bowl deserved. Then Rossellini does end up getting in with Conclave, despite it being a very small, truly supporting part. And Jones getting in, showing more strength with The Brutalist. Pretty good. I think, if anything, if Selena Gomez had gotten nominated here in one of the 5, the inevitability of Amelia Perez would have been more paramount. So at least that didn't happen. So nothing too crazy there in the end. Just we have avoided the Jamie Lee Curtis craze in the end. Looking at the screenplay nominations, this actually is classic, textbook how we think about the screenplay nominations at the Oscars. Adapted, we have A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Paris, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Original, we have Nora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. In both of those categories, you have movies that didn't make Best Picture or weren't expected to, right? So adapted, Nickel Boys getting in, and Sing Sing as well, which didn't get a Best Picture nomination. Original, you have A Real Pain and September 5 getting nominated for screenplay. So I like this. Substance, I don't know if original screenplay is definitely the biggest strength of that movie necessarily. It's quite a long movie after all. Nonetheless, I think it's fine. I really do love the recognition for Nickel Boys and Sing Sing and adapted. So yeah, overall pretty good. Animated feature film, this is kind of in line with expectations as well. There was the 3 obvious picks, Flow, Inside Out 2, and The Wild Robot. And then kind of by default, the last 2 spots went to Memoir of a Snail and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. More so because those last 2 spots couldn't be taken by anything else. A lot of the other big high-profile stuff wasn't super well received, like your Moanas, Kung Fu Pandas, Despicable Me's, etc. So that kind of just played out the way it was going to play out. No big anime film to pick this year. Cinematography, also pretty strong. You have The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu. Amelia Perez getting in with cinematography, tough beat, a lot of strength for this movie down the line. Love seeing Ed Lockman get in for Maria. That's ends up being that Pablo Larraín movie's only nomination. Justly earned though. Nosferatu also getting in. Jaron Blaschke. Again, that movie looks fantastic. Of course, Greg Fraser for Dune. Lowell Crawley for The Brutalist. Four of those five. Great picks. Costume design, you have a Complete Unknown, Conclave, Nosferatu, Wicked, and Gladiator 2, which I'm happy to see represented there. Film editing, of course, is an important category when we talk about contending for Best Picture. It is kind of what we would, I think, assume would be most of that, top tier here. You have Honora the Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, and then Wicked. I would have thought maybe Complete Unknown would have been a better pick for editing there, but yeah, Amelia Paris being in editing, not ideal. But Brutalist is there as well, so Honora is there as well. So we have a chance here. Makeup and hairstyling, A Different Man, Amelia Paris, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. Obviously, A Different Man, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked make a ton of sense in this. I guess Amelia Paris works as well, given the transformation that Carla Sofia Gascon's character goes in throughout the film. So I guess that's a pretty sound category all around. Original score, we have The Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot, meaning Challengers does not get in, which is such a tough beat. I think it's a huge miss, to be honest. They wanted the Globe, which was nice and all, but man, I think to not get recognized here is kind of brutal, to be honest. Then again, The Wild Robot being nominated for score stands out even a bit more because it wasn't nominated in Best Original Song. The Maren Morris song does not get nominated. In its place, we have the two Amelia Paris songs we expected to be here, the 6888 from Netflix's Tyler Perry movie from December, kind of surprising, I suppose. Song from Sing Sing, and a song from Elton John, Never Too Late, which I'm unfamiliar with. So Challengers doesn't get a song in, and the Maren Morris Wild Robot song doesn't get in. Interesting. And you think about it a little bit further, then you look, oh, The Journey from the 6888 is written by none other than Diane Warren, someone who gets nominated all the damn time. What we're talking about, like over a dozen nominations for Best Original Song, but never wins. So we're staying the same with that move. Documentary feature film, Black Box Diaries, No Other Land, Porcelain War, Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat, and Sugarcane. I haven't actually seen any of those yet, so I can't really speak to docs. I'm going to skip all the shorts. International feature film, largely in line with expectations for four of the five. We have I'm Still Here from Brazil, Emilia Paris from France, The Girl with the Needle from Denmark, The Seed of Sacred Fig from Germany via Iran, and Flow from Latvia. So the only one that's a surprise there is The Girl with the Needle from Denmark. Wasn't really sure what that fifth spot would go to. I predicted Kneecap from Ireland. Goes to The Girl with the Needle instead, which I've yet to see. I think the thing that's interesting about this category, it's the first time in a long time, I think, that we have two Best Picture nominees in this category with Amelia Perez and I'm Still Here. Obviously, Amelia Perez is still the overwhelming favorite, given it's the lead, and usually when you get nominated in Best Picture, you're a lock for this category, but usually you don't have any other Best Picture competition in this category, so something to monitor, but I believe Amelia Perez will win it without much challenge. Production design, I think this is a pretty good category once again. Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I think maybe you could justify taking Wicked out for something else, but it's a pretty good category. Best Sound, Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Solid, again, I think. Nothing really jumps out too much. I mean, Amelia Perez does have a lot of music, so it makes sense that sound is here. I love seeing this good support for Dune below the line with production design and sound. I'm really hoping it can win some of these. And that includes, of course, Best Visual Effects, where Dune is nominated alongside Alien Romulus, Better Man, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I think, again, you could take Wicked out, maybe put something else in there. I would love to see Civil War get nominated after making the short list. But I think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Better Man, Alien Romulus, and Dune Part 2 are all stellar visual effects nominations. Marvel does not get in, as expected. So yeah, that's where we're at. Those are the noms. I think again the big surprise is I'm Still Here in Best Picture. Jamie Lee Curtis not getting in for supporting actress in the end. Fernanda Torres does get nominated for Best Actress. These are like the big takeaways, right? Amelia Perez, a ton of strength. That's where we're at with the Oscar nominations. Let me know though, what is the biggest surprise to you? What were you most shocked to see? What stood out to you? Are you dreading an Amelia Perez Best Picture win like me? If you're not, let me know why. Either way. Make sure you come back in February for my Oscar predictions about who will win. And then, of course, we'll react to the actual Oscar winners once the Oscars take place. And of course, if you like movies, make sure you subscribe. YouTube.com/nostalgiapod. I review everything that comes out when it comes out. Talked about damn near everything that's been nominated. So if you like that, stick around, and I'll see you next time. What's up, my nostalgia? Dave here with a review of Star Trek Section 31, the Star Trek television film, which debuted on Paramount Plus, the 14th Star Trek film overall, but the first one to debut on TV, not, be released in the movie theaters. Of course, this is a continuation of the long running at this point Star Trek universe under the creative vision of Alex Kurtzman over at Paramount. Of course, Star Trek Discovery, Brave New Worlds, Picard. It's been a lot of successful TV shows over on Paramount Plus, actually beginning back when Paramount Plus was still CBS All Access. And that's kind of been the only place where Star Trek storytelling has been for some time. We haven't had a movie on the big screen since Star Trek Beyond came out way back in 2016. I have not watched any of the Paramount Plus Star Trek TV series. I've wanted to watch them. They just kind of got away from me, and now the pile's pretty big that it's a bit of a daunting task to try and catch up on. But I've heard good things. I know in particular Brave New Worlds is like really beloved, and I think Star Trek fans, which is a legitimate large fandom, but not like the biggest fandom in the world. Star Trek fans, I believe, are pretty happy with how TV is going, at least from what I understand on the outside. Nonetheless, a Star Trek movie coming out once again, even one being dumped on Paramount Plus, I had to watch it. I had to see it. And, I don't have any knowledge going in. Of course, this film stars Michelle Yeoh as the character Philippa Georgiou. That character debuted on Star Trek Discovery. In fact, I believe debuted in the first episode of the show and was a big piece of the ensemble cast for the majority of that show's run. So it's a significant character that is familiar to others. Nonetheless, I was coming in completely blind, and I was curious to see like how well would this movie work for someone who hasn't seen all the Paramount TV shows, or at least even just seen Star Trek Discovery. Like, how would it go? And of course, I'm coming into this as a big fan of Star Trek on the big screen. I love the Star Trek movies. I'm a fan of the JJ era for sure. I know that's maybe less agreed upon compared to the classic era, but I like Star Trek on screen. I've been frustrated that they never made that fourth film in the Kelvin timeline for Star Trek. I always wanted it. Nonetheless, it feels incredibly distant, and there's been a lot of creative ups and downs and reporting on where Star Trek is on the big screen. Obviously, everything that's going on at Paramount. You would like to think that Skydance, once they really get up and running creatively, would make Star Trek on the big screen a priority once again. But again, the question remains, is Star Trek Section 31 worth a damn? Going into Star Trek Section 31 completely blind, having not watched Star Trek Discovery, I gotta say I am incredibly disappointed with this film. I'm happy this film got dumped on Paramount Plus, because if it was on the big screen, I think it would have done a lot more damage to the brand. At the end of the day, it's just dull, middling, no characters really pop on the screen. It's just really boilerplate across the board. I thought the visual effects were fine, but the production design is very uninspired. There's really nothing to really grab you about how this movie goes. Having no experience with Michelle Yeoh's character, I didn't really get a whole lot out of her performance with this movie, and I think all the supporting characters are significantly weaker and thinner. Maybe it makes some sense that this movie is a bit of a tonal mismatch because it was originally conceived as a series and then kind of pivoted out into a film following COVID and the strikes and whatnot. To be charitable, they gave it a shot. They tried to salvage the project. It just didn't pan out. Honestly, I don't even think it's worth rehashing much of the plot. We're only in a handful of locations, a handful of settings, television film vibe, I guess. I don't know, nothing really popped per se. I didn't love the interiors, whether we're in the ships we're in. Nothing was really that cool. And yeah, the whole getting the gang together type thing. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. I didn't really like any of the characterization in the movie. It's just also thin. It's also simple and basic. And no character is given any chance to really shine. The script doesn't allow it. So yeah, I just found this super lackluster. It's not even comparable to the Abrams films, obviously. And I don't believe it's comparable to the Paramount Plus TV series, which have a lot more polish and consistency from everything I understand. So yeah, I guess they just really wanted to get this out, which I commend that they at least released it and do a tax write-off bullshit like Warner Brothers Discovery. I give them that. Now there was some cool visuals, I guess, like seeing a tractor beam, used in motion the way it was. When you think about science fiction, when you think of like Star Wars tractor beams, it's always like stationary ship coming into the bigger ship. It's a cooler application of that, sci-fi technology. I guess that was cool. The shields reminded me of the Dune shields. I'm curious because I haven't seen the show if we've been watching those kind of like phase shields, the phase tech. Wonder if we've seen that already. I'm sure we have, but like having as a newcomer, I was like, oh, that reminds me of Dune. That's kind of cool. There's this big high profile cameo at the end that doesn't really do much for me as someone without any connection to the overall story. But yeah, I would not expect any continuation of this. Maybe some of these characters pop back up in a show that's easy enough to pull off. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm rooting for Star Trek to get it right on the big screen, and I'm happy that this film was not pushed out and marketed for the big screen because, I mean, Star Trek Beyond has a bit of a soft box office. Star Trek in general, it's like a successful franchise, but it's not a billion-dollar franchise on the big screen, right? And this film would just had so many negative headlines because the reception would have been poor, the performance would have been poor. I'm happy that didn't happen at least. But let me know, what do you think of Star Trek Section 31? I'd love to know what you think if you're a Discovery viewer, if you watch the shows on Paramount, because you probably have a lot more connection and perhaps disappointment than me as a newcomer. I'd love to hear that perspective. Let me know. And for more movie reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. What's up, my nostalgia? Dave here with a review of Presence, the new supernatural thriller film from Steven Soderbergh, written by David Koepp, longtime collaborator of Soderbergh. This film released back in Sundance 2024. Now it's coming out, and Soderbergh actually has another movie coming out in 2 months, Black Bag, which looks great. But Presence is here. And once again, Steven Soderbergh is doing the most. This guy is one of the hardest working directors in Hollywood. This is Soderbergh's 9th. Black Bag will be his 10th film since coming out of retirement in 2017. He's been absolutely cooking. And not just that, but he's been taking chances, using different filmmaking techniques, different approaches to things. He's always experimenting and tinkering. And Presence is interesting for the form behind it. Notably, this is a supernatural film where the entire time we are in the first person perspective of the supernatural, of the ghost in said house. And what's interesting about this movie, and probably not a good thing, is that it's being marketed as a horror movie. This is being marketed as something that's scary. And this is not a horror movie. This is not a scary movie. In fact, this is a family melodrama movie that just so happens to have a ghost present. I'm a bit worried that people will see this movie expecting something that they're not going to get. And it's a bit of a shame because I think if you evaluate this movie on its own merits, I think it's very successful. Front and center, the craft behind Steven Soderbergh's presence on full display. When you're in the first person POV of a ghost for the entire runtime, and you use these wide pan shots, usually one take for the entirety of a scene, it really stands out visually. The combination of that obvious on display technical craft combined with, I think, a successful family melodrama story about trauma and grief. I think all of that really works and comes together well as we watch this ghost, watch this family begin to come apart as they realize they might not be alone in this house. Is using supernatural POV or trauma as a thematic touchstone new in horror movies or movies horror adjacent? No, not at all. But I don't know. For me, I think this really worked. I thought it was quite genuine. If anything really holds the movie back, it's probably that it's a kind of standard script. The narrative ultimately does get a bit predictable by the end. I like the performances in the movie, and I don't think the script necessarily does them a lot of favors with the core material of what the family is going through. The lead of the film, Chloe, is played by Kalina Lang, and Chloe is a teenager who is going through a tough time because her best friend died of a drug overdose recently. And this family, her brother, her two parents, mom played by Lucy Liu, they move into this new house, and they're trying to get on with their lives. The brother is a high-functioning, very successful swimmer, also a teenager, and the parents, the Lucy Liu's character, Rebecca, seems to be the breadwinner, and the dad, Chris, played by Chris Sullivan, a bit more of a passive guy, but definitely has a lot more empathy, whereas the mom is a bit more distant and also clearly has more affection for her son versus her daughter. And as a result, Chloe is, a bit more reserved, more introverted, and they have some concerns, but they're trying. They have the parents disagree over how best to get through things, and comes to the point where I love that we learn about the family dynamics and what things are not right between their relationships, their own internal struggles and stuff. We all learn about it through the POV of the ghost that's lingering in the house. We start the movie, the ghost is already there when they come in to view the home before they buy it. One scene, cameo from Julia Fox as the realtor. And what you get with this storytelling is it almost feels like you're betraying someone's privacy. It's almost like voyeuristic. I mean, at one point, the ghost is watching as Chloe is having sex with someone from school. As I said, I think a lot of the beats they start to get a little predictable by the end, but I also found the end pretty satisfying. Like you understand where it's gonna go, but I do think the execution is strong. I enjoyed the acting performances in it. I hadn't seen Kalina Lang before. She was in the Bad Genius English remake. She was the star of a teen drama, Tell Me Everything. Now that she's been in a Soderbergh movie, I'm sure she's going to get some bigger looks. I thought she was really good in this role as Chloe because she has to command the most, I think, emotional range in the movie because it starts out no one believes her when she says that she's seeing things and feeling things. She's the only one who can feel a presence at the start. Yeah, I like the movie. I think more than anything, Soderbergh, because he just takes so many swings of the bat, I just really appreciate all of his attempts. I mean, has he released like a 5-star banger in a while? I don't think he has. But I don't think any of the movies in this run since 2017, kicking off with Logan Lucky, I don't think any of the movies are bad. I think all of them are interesting and compelling for different reasons, and that's what's cool, right? And Black Bag looks really cool with Fassbender and Kate Blanchett. That's an exciting lead for sure. This is a much more modest movie, but still, I think is pretty clever. Soderbergh, obviously behind the camera, as we know, he's his own cinematographer. The filmmaking techniques are on full display in this movie and looks really good. So yeah, I'm a fan of the movie. Who isn't a fan of Steven Soderbergh at this point? Everything is a must-watch from him at the very minimum. But let me know, what'd you think of Presence? Were you misled by the marketing? I hope you weren't. Let me know what you thought of it. And for more movie reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. What's up, Womack Nostalgia? Dave here with a review of FKA Twigs' third album, Eusexua. This is the follow-up to the mixtape from 3 years ago, January 2023. And yeah, FKA Twigs, I think the reputation is well known at this point. She is the modern art pop GOAT, in terms of truly alternative pop music, truly avant-garde pop music. She's run circles around anyone else doing this type of music. She doesn't really have any peers in that space. And as a result, when she makes music, these projects are full statements, artistically, vision wise, and the creativity is boundless. And does everything work on an FKA Twigs project? No, it never does. But the amount of risks that are taken with the music is why she's so interesting as an artist. And when you get the moments of pure brilliance in her music, again, there's no peers. So needless to say, I was very much anticipating the next FKA Twigs project when we would get it. Eusexua, there's been some build up to this. We had the single Perfect Stranger last fall, which I liked quite a bit. And now we have the album, and it's a bit of a surprise for what the album is and what it isn't. FKA Twigs' third album, Eusexua, is FKA Twigs making a dance album. Perhaps we could have seen this coming after Capri Songs, off the strength of a song like Tears in the Club, a song I love. However, this is incredibly committed to being a dance album. This is drum and bass, this is deep house, this is European as fuck. However, it'll still be familiar as a Twiggy album because the richness of the instrumentation, the arrangements, the diversity and variety over the course of an entire song is present like only her music can be. Of course, the song-to-song effectiveness is up and down like a lot of her music is, but there is some great stuff on here once again. FKA Twigs, more than anything, just really stands out to me as a unique talent. Like, the music just always is interesting to me, even when it's not fully working. But I think this album is very successful more often than not. Track 1, the title track, Eusexua, I love the big synth build, the way the drums pick up. It's just very rich the way it's produced. Track 2, Girl Feels Good, the progression with the drums I really appreciate. The song starts off a little simpler and then it really gets going, almost like a sci-fi, like vibe by the end. Hard to explain a lot of times, like what you're like taking away, just because there's so much going on with all this type of music. I mentioned track three, Perfect Stranger. I love the vocal performance from Twigs on this. The drums drop when the bridge kicks in, so great. I think the chorus is just okay, but there's just so many great melodies, vocal melodies from Twigs throughout the rest of the song that I still think it's really successful. But this song probably could have been even better, I think, which is a little bit stronger, of course. Track four, Drums of Death, featuring Corliss, one of the key co-producers that Twigs had on this project. Drums of Death is definitely one of the highlights. This song is aptly titled. The drums are crazy on this track. And also some big auto-tune from Twigs vocally. But that's a song with a lot going on, but I think it's really successful. Room of Fools, just a crazy dance beat, super fast tempo. Going into Sticky, which I think also is a big highlight. This one has really simple keys, stripped down vocals at the start. And I just love the way the beat builds up and expands, and then we get this layered, dubbed over singing. I think the mixing and arranging on this song is fantastic. And then you have this distorted outro, crazy song. Keep It, Hold It. I love the call and response vocals, and it's like a total breakbeat. It's really cool, fire song. And then Out of Nowhere, but perhaps not Out of Nowhere. It's FKA Twigs album. Anything can happen. The next song, Childlike Things, features none other than Northwest. I believe this is her first vocal performance, not, affiliated with Kanye, her dad, of course. And this song is really cool. It's super energetic, super poppy. I love Twigs on it. And then North gives you a Japanese rap verse. She's rapping in Japanese. And all I have to say is arigato. Like, that song was fire. I like Striptease, another song with a lot going on. And then the last song, Wanderlust. Interestingly, vocally, the delivery reminded me a lot of Charlie XCX. Obviously, they're both British. They both dabble in the outer reaches of pop music, but by comparison, Charlie is a lot more down the middle compared to the Twigs, which says a lot about where Twigs is, I feel like. But yeah, I know this was a cool record. I mean, when I think of the best FKA Twigs project front to back, it still has to be album 2, Magdalene. But everything she does is always so interesting, and it's never boring. And that's the type of artist I love to love, because even when it's not fully working for me, there's just so much to be interested in and pay attention to. And I find it very interesting and very rewarding to revisit. So yeah, I think this is a interesting record. I'm gonna hopefully find songs of this that I would love to pair with Tears in the Club from Capri Songs. I love that track. That song is also a bit more conventional in its structure. Obviously, it features The Weeknd after all, and maybe that's why I latch onto it a little bit more. But thematically and production-wise, it's very much in sync with some of the stuff we get on Eusexua. But yeah, let me know, what did you think of this album? Obviously, this is an album that will get a ton of various opinions and reception, like all her music does. What did you think of it? Let me know. And for more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. What's up, all my nostalgia? Dave here with the review of Central Cee's debut album, Can't Rush Greatness. This has been a long time coming, as Central Cee has rapidly risen into the face of UK rap, and arguably more importantly, the most successful, without a shadow of a doubt, UK rapper in the history of American music. Central Cee is fully integrated into American music culture, and he is finding immense success. In fact, he's one of the 10 biggest rappers we have right now. I don't even think it's debatable at this point. The numbers he does, the attention he's got, and how well he sustained it to this point without actually releasing a full-length project since the fame reached this fever pitch. I first reviewed Central Cee with his second mixtape, 23, which came out way back in February 2022, almost 3 years ago. And then since then, of course, he's just continued to rapidly rise. Think about all the hits he's had, with Doja really breaking out over here, Sprinter with Dave and that whole collab project finding a ton of success, collaborating with Ice Spice, Pink Panthers. He's on a song with the Kid Laroi and Jungkook of BTS. Of course, one of the lead singles that he dropped for this album back last summer, Band for Band with Lil Baby. Only the best song Lil Baby's been a part of in years. The dude truly can't miss. And I was actually lucky enough to see him over 2 years ago perform live in a small venue just because I knew like that opportunity would never come around again. So I'm sure when he eventually tours again, there'll be bigger venues. He was quite good live. That being said, we finally got the full-length album from Sench, and I'm happy to say that it really delivered on these high expectations. Central Cee's debut album, Can't Rush Greatness, delivered on all the hype and anticipation after the long wait for a new project from him since he reached this fever pitch, the face of UK rap, the most successful UK rapper in American music history. This album will put Central Cee's strengths on full display. He's effortlessly charismatic, but still a great rapper. There's tons of wordplay. He fits a lot of rhyme schemes. There's a playfulness yet familiarity to a lot of his flows, and the punchlines I think just really hit. I just enjoy listening to him rap. And what I liked most about this album, of course, there's tons of great bangers, things we expect from Central Cee on this album. However, a lot of moments of Sench getting introspective, reflecting on his insecurities and his realization of how he has to change the way he moves due to this immense fame. It was refreshing to hear that side of his storytelling because obviously we know the bangers, the party songs are going to be there from him. Columbia Records also clearly gave him a big budget because there's some high profile samples on this album as well. It sounds fantastic. And yeah, I'm just really satisfied with this. I really think he's delivered and he's one of the signature rappers active right now. It's not even debate anymore. I like the way it starts off with track one, no introduction, those drums hitting. Obviously, Sench came up, in and around UK drill. Not that he's like as hard of a drill rapper as like Heady One or someone, but the production was largely that with more of like a pop clean. And you can kind of feel that throughout this album, but he's hardly exclusively in that lane. And that song, No Introduction, really just gives you kind of that classic Sench flow that we've come to know, the punchlines on full display. I really like his Paris reference, pointing out that he was making songs recently with rappers in France that are way less famous than him. I appreciate that. Track 2, 5-star, those drums are back once again. I love the keys, though. I think it's an awesome beat overall. I love the line about him being mad and disappointed about losing a Brit Award to H. It was interesting to hear him call H by name. You usually don't hear that so explicit. Track 3, Gotta, features Young Miko, the Puerto Rican rapper we heard recently on Bad Bunny's album 2 albums ago. I like the wordplay on that song. Overall, I think it's just okay. However, track 4, St. Patrick's, huge banger. Love the Wu-Tang Cream sample, of course, but just a really tight flow from Sench. And then for the real fans, at the end, you have the newcomer meme at the very end, the vocal line of Central Cee accepting an award, saying he's not really a newcomer, though, but he'll accept it nevertheless. Classic. Next up, we have GBP featuring 21 Savage, the single from last week. Exchange rate bars. I love this shit. I think at the core of the song, the hook, that's GBP. The price go up if it's USD, with 21 dropping in to finish the line. It's just great. It's fire. I love 21's charisma on the song. They're a great match together. Central Cee clearly in the Drake camp side of rap these days. Of course, he was making freestyles with Drake, hanging out with Drake last year, making a song with 21, who's still clearly aligned with Drake. I'm not sure if Sench has really talked about that too much more, but clearly I think that's where he leans, at least right now. Top freestyle, very reminiscent of a lot of Central Cee freestyles at this point. He can make these in his sleep. They sound great. Up North, I like this one as well. Up North is interesting because it's kind of the same flow we're used to, but over like a jazzier beat, so the vibe is definitely different. Although he reuses some of his bars from Day in the Life, his breakout song from 2020. He does that from time to time, like he does, he almost has like little motifs lyrically that he does. And I like them sometimes. Other times, I almost feel like they're placeholder bars that he just never bothers to like write around. CRG featuring Dave. Of course, this would be highly anticipated after their immense success 2 years ago. I think when you think of Dave as a rapper, one of the luminaries of UK rap, obviously, storytelling is what you think about with him. And I just love the richness that you get in like some of his bars on this song, CRG. I can't ask no one for a teaspoon of sugar. It's tough, got no neighbors. My uncles had no papers. Like, he tells you so much in just a short amount of time. Again, not surprising. We know how great he is. Limitless, I love the background singing. I wasn't sure exactly who that was. Now We're Strangers, that's where Sench gets a bit more introspective, talking about his insecurities, which I appreciated. Truth in the Lies. God damn, this is a high-profile ass Neo sample for starters. But man, I love this song. I think this is sick. You know, the twinkling acoustic, but the melodic delivery from Central Cee is fire. That's not something he really does so much. I mean, we be talking about the flow. We know what his rapping normally sounds like, but to hear him show a new side like that just speaks to how talented he is. And of course, he fits it right in doing that alongside Lil Durk, who obviously we know can do the same. And another like kind of like immediately sticky, memorable line like that just Central Cee just grabs these out at this point. She say I'm a slut, don't give a fuck, I agree with her. I mean shit, like that's just right on his brand. I love it. And then we follow that up with 10 featuring the GOAT of UK rap, Skepta. And unsurprisingly, it's fucking fire. This shit really melted my headphones. This is a banger. The drums are dancing, and it's just a classic Skepta flow. It sounds awesome. I love that track. It's incredible. As I mentioned, band for band, some of the best Little Baby we've heard in some time. It's better than anything on the new Little Baby album we just got. And the funny thing about that, the cool thing about that, is that it's not Central Cee making any concessions to what an Atlanta trap rapper would do on their own album, right? He's making one of his songs, and he brought Little Baby into his world, doing his kind of music, and that's what's cool. And Little Baby certainly holds up well on the song. Gen Z Love, this one also came out last summer, like Band for Band, back in July. Pretty old at this point. I think the song's fine. I do kind of like the lyrical motif, you know, Gen Z Love, FYP Love, IG Love. Like I love grounding it in like youth online culture, so to speak. Walk In Wardrobe, another introspective song, and then it switches up, the drums drop in, and you get a more aggressive Sench flow. Really cool song. The second to last song, Must Be, also an amazing highlight. I think the chorus on this song is just incredible, honestly. What's your definition of real? What is it? If it's something like them, then I must be fake. Excellent. Also, I love his, plaudits that he gives to Dave during one of the verses. If I ain't on top of the UK game and it's up for debate, then it must be Dave. Drums are great. This is probably the best beat on the whole album to me. I just love the richness to it, the arranging and everything. I think it's a great song. And yeah, I mean, that's a lot of songs that I really like. I think this is a great record. I think it's his best project overall, front to back. And not that he hasn't had good ones. The first two mixtapes are also great, right? Wild West 23, a lot of bangers on that. When I saw Sench live a few years ago, people knew the songs. Like, people knew the cuts, the mixtape cuts. People weren't just there for Doja, even though Doja obviously got the biggest pop at the end of the show. So, like, it's been really cool to see this rise. And obviously, as a fan of broader culture, it's been very interesting to see him become just a legitimate, pop star in America as a British rapper with a British accent, using British slang, not really making any concessions. And it's fucking cool. So I'm sure we'll hear lots of features from him this year. And he's worked with cool people to this point, right? Like, not that I'm a big Kid Laroi fan, but like Ice Spice, he was on Pink Panther's last album after, of course, sampling her beforehand, working with Drake. I'm sure he makes cool choices. He has a great team behind him, obviously. So to me, at this point, he's the signature rapper of the 2020s when it comes to new rappers who debuted in the 2020s. I mean, I'm not even sure who you'd compare him to, like Flo Milli or Yeet, Big X the Plug. I don't know. To me, it's like no contest, And now his peers are people that are several years his senior, a lot more experienced, right? Like once we get past your Kendricks and your Tylers and your Futures and your Thugs, it's like, who are you really checking for these days? You're checking for Central Cee. And that's not something I expected to say when I first listened to the 23 mixtape 3 years ago, but that's where we're at, and it's a really cool development. So let me know, what'd you think of Central Cee's debut album, Can't Rush Greatness? What was your favorite song? And for more rap reviews, more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. What's up, welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with my 2025 Grammy predictions. I'm going to predict who I expect to win and who I would like to win in all of the general field categories, as well as the rap and pop genre categories, as well as a few others. Please leave a comment. Let me know who you would like to win in these categories, who you're rooting for. I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's jump in, get through the big categories, and see what we expect to happen and all the key narratives, of which there are many. So we're going to jump right into the Big Kahuna Album of the Year, of course, and I'll just go through the nominees quickly, then we'll talk about who I expect is actually like in real contention here. The nominees for Album of the Year are Andre 3000, Beyonce, Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, Jacob Collier, Billie Eilish, Chapel Roan, and Taylor Swift. Now, we look at that category, you can immediately write off someone, and that would be Jacob Collier because he wasn't nominated in a genre category, which is a big demerit, so to speak. Now, in terms of who's actually in contention here, of course, we have to talk about Taylor Swift, who has won this award 4 times. She would be the first 5-time winner if she did win Album of the Year for the Tortured Poets Department. And she'd be only the 3rd person to win Album of the Year back-to-back years as well, of course, previously winning for Midnights. It's also important to note that Billie Eilish and Andre 3000 are previous winners of Album of the Year. Of course, Andre back as a part of Outkast. And then I think the big talking point, of course, would be that this is Beyonce and Taylor Swift's second head-to-head in Album of the Year after Taylor prevailed with Fearless over I Am Sasha Fierce, over a decade ago. And of course, since then, Beyonce has gone 0 for 4 in total with Album of the Year, also losing to Beck, Adele, and Harry Styles. And I think that's kind of where a lot of this lies to me. I think Taylor Swift becoming the first 5-time Album of the Year winner before Beyonce ever won once will be kind of absurd. And yes, is Cowboy Carter the best album Beyonce's ever made? No. But let's be real, neither were Midnights or the Tortured Poets Department from Taylor Swift's discography. So I think the fact that Beyonce also lost Renaissance to Harry Styles of all people, two Grammys ago, was a huge bummer. Losing Lemonade to Adele, also a big bummer. Like, she's these really impactful, genre bending albums, and they keep losing. I don't think it can happen again. And I honestly think I honestly think Cowboy Carter's gonna win. That's my pick, and it's who I want to win. I think it's gonna be between her and Taylor. I don't know. Could Andre sneak through and win? I don't know. Also, it'd be foolish to not think about Billie Eilish, given how much of an awards darling she is. I'll go through more of her Grammy catalog, but I mean, shit, her and Phineas have won Best Original Song at the Oscars twice already, as well as all this Grammy love. So, don't write off Billie Eilish at all either, but I think Beyonce's finally going to get it done. Let's move on to Record of the Year. Of course, this is for the recording the whole song. Song of the Year is about the words, the songwriting. That's the key difference there. It's always hard to kind of parse it out, especially when a lot of the same songs are nominated both times. Either way, Record of the Year, the nominees are Now and Then by the Beatles, Texas Hold'em by Beyonce, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, 360 by Charlie XCX, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan, and Fortnite by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. So this is I think it's a harder one to necessarily nail down. Often is, I feel like. Billie Eilish has won this award twice before, which is crazy given her young age. And she would tie the record if she won it a 3rd time. She previously won for Bad Guy and Everything I Wanted. Fortnite, Taylor and Post, was not nominated in the pop duo category, pop duo performance. I think that really hurts that song in this field. The Beatles, the Beatles, interestingly, 0 for 4 in Record of the Year. And not only are they 0 for 4, obviously long ago, but they're 0 for 4 with 4 of their greatest songs ever. I Want to Hold Your Hand, Yesterday, Hey Jude, and Let It Be. It'd be pretty hilarious if they won it on their 5th try with a song Now and Then, which actually would only go to Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr due to George Harrison and John Lennon being dead for over 5 years. They can't actually win this award. It's just Grammy rules. Funny enough, though, the Beatles have won awards in more recent times. The Beatles actually beat Lemonade for Best Music Film, 8 years ago or so. That being said, I'm not picking the Beatles, but it's broadly plausible. That's why I just want to, bring that home. Funny enough, and I didn't realize this, Beyonce is 0 for 9 in Record of the Year, despite being the winningest overall woman in Grammy history. She hasn't won Album of the Year or Record of the Year, but she has all those other dubs. I didn't quite realize it was that many times. I don't think she's going to win again for Texas Hold'em, though. I think this is Not Like Us. I think this is Kung Fu Kenny. I think Kendrick Lamar's going to get this done. Of course, GNX, the album, is not eligible this Grammy cycle. It came out late November. That'll be up next Grammys. But Not Like Us is still here as the earlier single. And I think that's the pick. Important though. The only rap song to win this category record of the year before was This Is America from Childish Gambino. Not Like Us is a significantly more popular and replayed song. That was the case the entire time. Like, This Is America was not a monster hit per se, at least not to this degree. So I think it would kind of be a nice piece of history to have a rap song people actually bumped all the time win this category. It'd be nice. I also think Chapel Roan is in the mix here with Good Luck Babe. It's just, I don't know. There's something about Chapel Roan. I feel like she's going to win something big at the Grammys this year. She has a lot of awards, like characteristics, And again, don't rule out Billie Eilish with Birds of a Feather. It would be foolish to ever really bet against her. Moving on to Song of the Year. Again, this is for the song rating. The nominees are a bit different. We have a bar song by Shabuzi, Birds of a Feather, Billie Eilish, Die With a Smile, the Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars duet, Fortnite, Taylor Swift and Post Malone, Good Luck Babe, Chapel Roan, Not Like Us, Kendrick, Please 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 by Sabrina Carpenter, and Texas Hold'em by Beyonce. So some repeats, some newer songs, and again, the people nominated are the writers in this time around. Song of the Year, Billie Eilish, also a 2-time winner, Bruno Mars, also a 2-time winner. Either one of them would become the first 3-time winner. Beyonce has won this category before with Single Ladies. She'd be the third 2-time woman winner, following Billie Eilish and Adele. And then Taylor Swift, interestingly, is 0 for 8 in Song of the Year, which I did not realize. Of course, we always talk about Taylor Swift's greatest strength being her songwriting. And despite all those Album of the Year wins, she's actually never won Song of the Year. It's kind of funny. Again, another thing I didn't quite realize. I would not be shocked if this splits the vote here, but I think it'd be foolish not to at least pick someone who's also up for Album of the Year. So, apologies to Shabuzi and Gaga and Bruno here. Again, we're going to write off Fortnite, given its weakness elsewhere. Maybe this is the one that goes to Good Luck Babe. Is Kendrick really going to win both of them? It's possible. Of course, he's a Grammy darling in the past, as we know. I think it's between those two. Again, Birds of a Feather, lurking. I'm going to go Good Luck Babe. We'll split Not Like Us and Good Luck Babe. Maybe I got those mixed up. I don't know. Let me know where you're feeling with this. Best New Artist. The nominees are Benson Boone, Sabrina Carpenter, Doechii, Karugabin, Ray, Chapel Roan, Shabuzi, and Teddy Swims. This is an interesting one because you usually don't see Best New Artist nominees that are also up for the big categories, but we have Chapel Roan, Sabrina Carpenter, and to a lesser degree, Shabuzi all up in this category. I think they're the only ones who actually can win. At the end of the day, I think it's really between Sabrina and Chapel Roan. Who is probably more of a celebrated artist overall, whole package? It's probably Chapel Roan, even though Sabrina had a bigger year. Either one's a worthy win. Doechii would be a great win as well. I'm expecting Doechii to get some rap category wins. That would be nice. So I'm going to go Chapel, but I would not be shocked if it's Sabrina. Also, the Grammys have thrown curveballs in this category before, and they pick significantly less famous people, when given the chance. Famously, Esperanza Spalding over Drake and Bieber, the most famous of them all. But it happens. So I would not be shocked if, anyone wins. You never can rule anyone out. Real quick with Producer of the Year, it's just notable, like, Jack Antonoff's not nominated this time after winning it the last 3 times in a row. This year, though, I think it's going to go to Dan Nigro for his work with Chapel Roan, previously recognized for his work with Olivia Rodrigo. He feels like a rising, significant producer, and I think that win seems really safe for him. Moving on to the pop genre categories, we have Best Pop Album, Pop Vocal Album. Nominees are Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, Ariana Grande, Chapel Roan, and Taylor Swift. Loaded category for sure. Again, a little hard to be confident about where it's going, but Chapel, Billie, or Sabrina feels like where I would lean. Though Taylor could fucking run it up and win everything. I think the only one who's not probably in the mix here is Ariana, just because she missed out in the other bigger categories, even though I did like Eternal Sunshine. I think this is where Sabrina could win. Maybe Chapel wins the bigger stuff, as I said, and then Sabrina wins Pop Vocal Album. That's what I'm going to go with. But again, really hard to have any feel for it, given the strength. The other categories, we have Pop Solo Performance. You have Beyonce's Bodyguard, Sabrina's Espresso, Charlie's Apple, Billie's Birds of a Feather, and Chapel's Good Luck Babe. It's possible that Good Luck Babe wins a few times and wins one of those. Same thing with Birds of a Feather, wherever that leans. But I'd not be shocked if Espresso wins. That definitely feels like a song that could win a genre category. Similarly, we have Pop Duo/Group Performance, Gracie Abrams and Taylor with Us, Levi Jeans, Beyonce and Post, Guess, Charlie and Billie, The Boy Is Mine by Ariana Grande with the Monica and Brandy sample, and then Die With a Smile, Gaga and Bruno. Another one, stacked category. I would not underrate Billie and Charlie with Guess. Even though that's not far from my favorite song off Brat, I would love that. I would love Billie Eilish's awards clout to get Charlie a Grammy dub. That would be really nice. So that's what I'm rooting for to happen, but I would not be shocked if Die With a Smile wins, given Gaga and Bruno, the power couple of that, duet there. But I'm going to root for Guess. We'll see what happens. And then again, I think Charlie will take something home. I expect her to win Best Dance/Electronic Album, where Brat is nominated against Fortet, Justice, Kaytranada, and Zed. I mean, Justice and Kaytranada winning that category would be nice. I really view Brat as more of a pop album generally, but I'm kind of happy she's away from the other big dogs there so she can win this. So I'd expect Brat to take it home, given it's the only album in those categories nominated for Album of the Year. Although I should note that that's never a requirement. The Grammys do spread things out a little bit versus other award shows, so it's by no means a guarantee that just because you're nominated in the general field that you're going to win all your nominations in the genre stuff. Keep that in mind. Similarly, we have Best Dance Pop Recording, where I expect Charlie's Von Dutch to be the contender, but I'm also keeping my eye on Yes and by Ari, and of course L'amour de ma vie by Billie Eilish and Phineas. Again, never write off Billie. And then we have Best Dance/Electronic Recording, where nominees are Disclosure, Fortet, Fred Again, Justice and Tame Impala, Kaytranada, and Josh Gambino. That's a tough one again. Witchy, Kaytranada, and Gambino, strong. Neverender, Justice, and Tame Impala, strong. My pick, what I'm rooting for, would be Leave Me Alone by Fred Again and Baby Keem, but I really don't have a feel. I think it might be Witchy that ends up winning. Hard to say. Of course, I expect Country Album to go to Beyonce, nominated against Post Malone, Chris Stapleton, and a few others. Musica Urbana, I expect that to go to Bad Bunny. This, of course, would be for Nadia Sabe, his album from the end of 2023, not the new album that we just got in January 2025. It is annoying that Bad Bunny is not an Album of the Year once again, only finally getting there with Un Verano Sin Ti. He releases another album that's not quite as big, and we're going to jump him down while we nominate Jacob Collier for Album of the Year. There's still more we can do with global music, and we'll see what happens in the future. And lastly, let's go to the rap categories. Best Rap Album, again, Kendrick not eligible yet for GNX. I'm not a big fan of the field overall. We have J. Cole for Might Delete Later, which is a ridiculous nomination given everything that happened with 7 Minute Drill. It's absurd. The Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock, Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii, The Death of Slim Shady Coup de Grace by Eminem, and We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. In reality, the only albums that are worth a damn in this category are Future and Doechii. Apologies to Common. Eminem wins this more often than not. I would not rule him out by any means. I think it should be Doechii. That made my top 10. That would be awesome. But we'll see. Hard to be confident that they do the right thing. But they do, have an older head lean the last, 5+ years. Remember Nas getting nominated and various other people. And Nas winning. Nas getting nominated again. It makes sense that Common's there. I'm not surprised. But, it's just not my favorite category. It was also a weaker year for rap, all things considered, rap albums, it is what it is. Best rap song? I mean, we can kind of cut to the chase. The Not Like Us from Kendrick Lamar's going to win this. Kendrick's also here again for Like That, with Future and Metro. Will be kind of interesting if he won for both. I love that Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign are here for Carnival with Rich the Kid off Vulture's One. I think that's kind of an awesome nom. I'm surprised that it happened. Glorilla here for Yeah Glow. It's been cool to see Glorilla really establish herself in the industry. But yeah, Not Like Us is going to take this one home. I think that one's pretty obvious. Similarly, I expect Not Like Us to win for Best Rap Performance. Doechii's also here for Nissan Altima, which would be a worthy win. Like That's here again. Let's not roll out Eminem for Houdini, though. But yeah, that's where I'm leaning. And then Melodic Rap Performance, where Kendrick is not participating. We have Kehlani by Jordan Atunji featuring Kehlani. Spaghetti by Beyonce featuring Linda Martell and Shabuzi. We Still Don't Trust You by Future, Metro, and The Weeknd. Big Mama by Lotto. And 3 a.m. by Rhapsody and Erykah Badu. Not a category with a ton of hits, to be honest. I don't have a great lean on that. Perhaps Beyonce wins it. Beyonce winning in rap would be kind of cool. But I don't have a strong take on it, to be honest. Let me know what you think. I'll be curious how much of those rap categories are actually telecast this year. You got to have Kendrick up there winning at least once, right? But a lot of times they hide these categories on the pre-show. We'll see. Best R&B album, I assume it's going to be Revenge by Mooney Long. It's not my favorite year for that either. Best progressive R&B album, probably a little bit more interesting. We have Childish Gambino, Kehlani, and No Worries, Anderson .Paak, and Knowledge all in the mix there. Probably Childish Gambino, but again, hard to have a great feel. But yeah, that's my 2025 Grammy predictions. Of course, there's many other categories that are out there. Let me know though. What did you think of these picks? What are your picks? Who do you want to see win? Who are you rooting for? What are you afraid will happen that you don't want to see happen? Let me know. And of course, make sure you come back after the Grammys happen, where I will be reacting to who did in fact win. Most of these big albums, I review them when they come out. So if you like music, stick around. Talk about the new albums as they happen. Other award shows, Oscars, Emmys, we talk about that too. But yeah, let me know what you think. And for more Grammy talk and music reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. All right, that's going to do for the pod this week. Next week, it's going to be a short one because I'm actually going to be away, so I don't have time to get to some other stuff that's coming out. But I will be getting to two key things. One would be the new album from none other than The Weeknd, one of the biggest stars on earth, of course. And I'll be seeing the movie I'm Still Here, the Brazilian nomination for Best International Feature Film with the Oscar, and a surprise Best Picture nominee at that, starring Fernanda Torres, who was nominated for Best Actress. Very much looking forward to seeing that film, highly anticipated at this point, given all the hype and late breaking adulation. So I'll get to that, and then I'll catch up on anything else I miss the following week. So make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/nostalgiapod, linktree.com/nostalgiapod, see links below, get the best of 2025 Spotify playlist link below. Let me know it's good, and I'll see you next week.